It has been more than a decade since Abousfian Abdelrazik was in a Sudanese prison. Yet, the experience haunts him.
I've been like stand up against the wall for several hours. I've been beaten by the hose, and I've been hung from my hand.
He was long suspected by CSIS of being an al-Qaeda terrorist. Sudanese security picked him up in September 2003 while he was visiting family.
What did they tell you?
Yeah, they told me like the Canadian asked for your detention, and the American. The Canadian and the American, both of them.
CSIS has always denied it wanted him held. This former Foreign Affairs intelligence officer doesn't believe it.
Our belief, and it's a belief that I still harbor, is that it was the CIA that solicited Abdelrazik's detention from the Sudanese authorities, possibly suggesting that they were acting on behalf of CSIS.
These Canadian diplomatic cables obtained by CBC News show CSIS denials were deemed not credible by the Sudanese, who told Canadians in Khartoum all of the trouble started because Canada sent a security officer who talked to the Sudanese Security Division and told them to hold Mr. A. The cables and other documents released as part of Abdelrazik's $27 million lawsuit against the federal government also show CSIS gave Foreign Affairs in Ottawa conflicting stories on when they knew about his arrest.
There were portions of this case where we had inadequate information from CSIS. There were portions of the case where we felt CSIS went behind our backs to take actions that we didn't agree with.
Did CSIS lie to you?
We have still not been able to get to the bottom of this.
This former CSIS analyst says the Sudanese may have it wrong.
Why would CSIS order Abdelrazik picked up?
It wouldn't. I find that very hard to believe.
And he says there may be reasons Foreign Affairs was in the dark.
When you work for a security service, you share information with agencies which should have access on a need-to-know basis.
CSIS claimed Abdelrazik was a dangerous al-Qaeda terrorist, even though he had never been charged with any crime. The documents show, while consular officials were trying to get him out, CSIS argued to keep him detained. The spy service kept up an ongoing dialogue with Sudanese intelligence that directly contradicted Canadian diplomats. CSIS also supported putting him on a U.S. no-fly list and a UN terror watch list.
Totally egregious disregard.
Critics say the spy service overstepped its bounds.
There should absolutely be an investigation to determine whether there's been criminal infractions there.
CSIS, the Justice Department, and Public Safety will not comment with the matter before the courts. This entire experience haunts Abdelrazik. He is asked, even today, if he is a terrorist.
I'm not al-Qaeda. I'm not. I don't have nothing to do with al-Qaeda. I'm not.
And Murray Brewster joining us right now. Murray, that interview with Abdelrazik, so revealing, as are those court documents. What more can you tell us on that front?
Well, there are a lot of court documents to go through, Andrew, and a lot of threads to pull on. And we've got a lot of information here that fills in holes in Abdelrazik's story that have existed for many, many years. Significantly, what we have among these documents is a list of questions that CSIS provided to the Department of Foreign Affairs in the event that consular officials actually did get in to see him. Now, why this is significant is because when Abdelrazik eventually made it home in 2009, he claimed that he was tortured by the Sudanese, and he also claimed that the questions were provided by the Canadians. And this is the first time that we have actually seen a list of questions that CSIS provided. But Abdelrazik is in a much better position to explain what happened.
What did the Sudanese say to you while they were torturing you? Did they get to try to confess anything?
Yeah, to convince the questions which is the Canadian sent to them. Yeah, because I saw that the investigator who opened the drawer and he asked me a question from a paper. But
so what you're saying is that they were torturing you because they wanted to get answers to questions that Canadian officials had presented to them.
Yes, that's what I believe.
Now, one other point to mention in the documents as well. In 2009, former Foreign Affairs Minister Lawrence Cannon refused to sign an emergency passport to bring Abdelrazik home. What we've learned from these documents is that he did so against the advice of his officials at Foreign Affairs, and that is incredibly significant. We should mention that we did reach out to Lawrence Cannon, and he said that we should be talking to government lawyers, and they, of course, are not talking about the case. Andrew?
Murray Brewster, thanks very much.
You're welcome.